I always like a clear ending, like I know what happened. When I play a game, I need closure. I don't want this vague, like, insinuations as of what might have happened. It's up to me what I make of it. This is not mine. I need closure. I need to know exactly what happened. And in this game, I felt like I got this. So, I maybe not 2 thumbs up, but 1 thumb up for either one. Okay, and then the last game, not the last probably, but the last I've played, and the latest of this genre is Montague's Mound. Unfortunately, I was not able to finish it. And in a short while, I'm gonna tell you why. So I found this game pretty problematic. Again, you're a man stranded on an island, but it's very different from Dear Esther, though. Because something must have happened on this island. Since I have not played the game to the end, I don't know what exactly. Because during the game, you find a lot of dead bodies, like at the beginning only 1 or 2, but later on like piles of human bodies. Something terrible must have happened on that island. There are good riddles during the game, like there are riddles to solve, you can interact with things. It's the first person view. What I found annoying, I mean, it gave you a very realistic feel, but I found that annoying. It made me dizzy at some points, like while your character walks, you kind of, the screen does this movement, like if it was with his eyes, and when I walk, I don't see that movement. I know I make the movement, but I don't actually see it. So it kind of made me dizzy, and I found it kind of annoying, but it gave the whole thing kind of a realistic feel, I guess. The environment and the music are very, very depressing, which is perfect for the game. I mean, the atmosphere must give you that feeling, and it did it very well. But at one point, I could not continue playing because there is one riddle where you have to set many compasses to a certain direction. And I swear, I did it. I had the right direction. Everything was correct, but it has to be so perfect, like that probably there was one little thing on one that wasn't correct, and then I found on the internet that there was supposed to be kind of a tower with lamps that would show you which of the compasses is set correctly. And don't get me wrong, the compasses aren't one beside the other, they're like far away from each other, and I was walking around to every compass to set it right, but one of them apparently was not set exactly correctly. But I swear, in my game, there was not such tower with lights to show me which one was set correctly. In the screenshots of the walkthrough, I saw that tower, but in that place in my game there wasn't one. I don't know if I did something with the settings. I don't know what I did, but it wasn't there. And so at one point I got so frustrated of walking around between all the compasses that which I saw were set correctly, that I gave up. So I cannot tell you anything about the ending. So of this genre, I would totally say that either one was the best, in my opinion. and I heard rumors about a possible Ether 2. Who knows? Okay, that genre aside, let's get to a game I loved very, very much, which is still live. And it has 2 parts. I know that it was intended to be a trilogy, but at the end it was only 2 parts. And in this game I encountered a very big surprise, because when I started playing the game and I heard the name of the main character, Victoria McPherson, I was like, McPherson? That kind of rings a bell? And then I remembered a game I played, Postmortem, which I commented about. I don't remember if it was the Video Games Talk Part 1. It was probably Part 2, and I did not like that game very much. But this Victoria McPherson is the granddaughter, or great-granddaughter? I think granddaughter of this same Gustav McPherson of Postmortem. So because of that, I was kind of happy that I have played Postmortem, though I did not like it that much. So in the beginning I was, oh, is this like Postmortem? But it wasn't at all. So you play the FBI agent Victoria McPherson, the granddaughter or grand-granddaughter of Gustav McPherson of Postmortem. And in part 1 you switch from Victoria, who plays in 2004, to Gustav McPherson 70 years earlier, because they seem to be working on the same serial killer case, only that Gustav McPherson is working like on the original one and Victoria on a copycat. And this is a pure, part 1 is a pure point and click adventure game. Like, I love them the most. I have to say, the parts where you play Gustav McPherson again, I don't know what I have against this guy. I'm sorry. I did not like that much. But when you were playing Victoria McPherson, I enjoyed every bit of the game. I mean, it was thrilling, it was exciting, there were good riddles, it wasn't too easy, but it wasn't too difficult either. And what I have to say, it was kind of very early, it was kind of obvious to me who the serial killer was in the copycat serial killer, but okay. Okay, and then part 1 had an open end, which is okay, since I know, alright, there are 2 parts, we are going to solve this in part 2, sure. But I have to say, you start the game like 5 years or something later, and you work on a totally different case with, and you have a totally different gameplay in part 2. Like, it's not a pure point and click game anymore. You have to walk. It's not that I didn't like the gameplay, I did, but since it is part 1 and 2, I don't know why. It kind of, it's disturbing to have a second part of a game being so different from part 1. And story-wise, they wrapped up the story that should be continued from part 1. They wrapped that up very briefly, in my opinion. I think it would have been better if they had just ended it correctly in part 1 and then start the new case in part 2 and not have an open ending and then wrap it up that briefly and to me kind of unsatisfyingly. But in this game it is a very great game, part 2. Only if I evaluate part 1 and 2 as a whole, then I don't think that as a couple it's not good, but as individual games both are extremely good. Individually, I would even say that the second one is better because you have more, I don't know, it seems to be more creative, since you have you are a real FBI agent, because you have to really investigate, not only finding out stuff, but take blood samples, take fingerprints, residues of textiles and so on. So I like this very much, the real being an agent work. And in this game you also switch, but you do not switch to Gustav McPherson anymore. You switch between Victoria and the reporter Paloma Hernandez, who had been captured by the so-called East Coast Killer. Most parts of the game takes place in the house where the killer plays his games. I could say that. And so you kind of play around being the victim, Paloma, and trying to find a way out of that prison. You're in this insane mind game of the killer, and you have to pass the tests he gives you and so on. And on the other side, you're the FBI agents trying to save her. But again, I have to say that very early in the game I had a clue of who the killer was, and I was right in the end, though there was some twist in the game that I did not anticipate, and that was great. And this game, though it plays mostly in one place, like this house, it did not get boring. I love this game very, very much, I have to say, and maybe one day I'll play it again, I don't know. You had a lot of tools, like metal detector and stuff. You had a lot of tools you could use, and I like that. You had to crack codes on the computer, activate cameras or deactivate cameras and stuff like that. I mean, you really were investigating a lot in this game, and I'm kind of a detective myself. Okay, then let's get to a very old game called Sanitarium. And I have to say, though it is kind of hard to play these old games because of the graphics, it's not so easy to get used to the graphics, in my opinion, but once you got used to it, it's okay, because it's a very good game, I have to say. It's very old and it's a classic. It is a psychological horror point-and-click adventure game. You are a man who had a car accident and wakes up in a sanitarium. You have amnesia, you don't even know your name, and you have no idea how the heck you got into that situation. Your fellow inmates just call you Max. And in that sanitarium, very weird things keep happening. So weird that there's a point where you actually believe that you must be crazy. Kind of portals open, and you get to very weird places through these portals, like to a small town inhabited by malformed children who apparently have killed all the adults, their parents, and so on, and a weird, huge alien plant they call Mother, a demented circus, an alien hive overrun by robotic parasites, and kind of a ancient Inca tribe or something. And you have to solve a lot of riddles, and every time you explored the whole place and solved the riddles or saved somebody or something, then a new portal opened and you would get transformed to other places. But the explanation in the ending of the game I liked very much. It was a very satisfying ending and plausible. So I have to say, I enjoyed playing that game, though. Of course, it's not this whole excitement as it probably was once it was released. Okay, the next game is Cognition, and I loved that game a lot. It's an Erica Reed thriller. It is a pure point and click adventure game, which I, again, most love. And it consists of various episodes. In the beginning, you only play the Boston FBI agent Erica Reed. And she has a kind of a paranormal power, which is called post-cognition, which means that she can look into the past when she touches an object that is kind of linked with the past action, the past event she's trying to investigate. In the first episode, her brother gets killed by a serial killer called the Keane killer. And though each episode is about a different killer, Erica is kind of obsessed with this Keane killer that hadn't been caught, and she thinks she must catch this son of a gun. And so she tries to develop her powers further, and she finds a woman who teaches her how to do that. So later on, she can not only look into the past by touching objects, but she can also find out conversations between people and or connections between certain objects in the past, which she uses to investigate the whole, not only the killer case she's working on, but in secret also the Keane killer case. Yeah. Later on, another girl named Cornelia appears in the story, and she also has a cognition ability, only that she can look into the future instead of the past. So at some point of the game, Erica and Cornelia work together to figure that killer out, and the story has a very surprising ending to me. I would never have expected it the way it was in the end, and I enjoyed every minute of this game. It never got boring. I loved it. So I can only recommend it, and it's 2 thumbs up for Cognition. The next game is the Blackwell Bundle, and this is actually a newer game, but on purpose done in a old style graphic. It's very pixely and it on purpose it was done like that to give you kind of a nostalgic feeling. I actually would have preferred it to be not that pixely and in a newer style, but the game itself was great. It is also a pure point-and-click adventure game. You mostly play the girl Angela Blackwell. She is a freelance journalist, and whose aunt has just passed away. Her aunt adopted her when she was a little child because her parents died in a car crash, I think. But Rosangela's aunt has been committed to a mental institution many years ago because she suffered from some kind of mental disease, they said. Like, at the beginning she was only talking to herself, but then she was like totally like in a coma, but nobody could explain how this could have happened. And at one point, many years after that, she died. Rosangela later finds old letters of her aunts and her brothers, Rosangela's father, and in them she finds out that her grandmother apparently suffered from the same mental disease, and she becomes scared that it might run in the family. Also, the name Joey had been mentioned several times, both by her grandmother and her aunt, which was weird, and she started investigating. Sorry for the cut. Where was I? Yeah, so she keeps investigating that name Joey, and ultimately a ghost called Joey appears in her apartment and tells Rosangela that she is a spiritual medium, like her aunt and grandmother before her, and that he is her spiritual guide. So you basically play a ghost whisperer. The ghosts never know they're dead, so you have to convince them, finding out everything about who they were in life and about their deaths. The parts there are, it's the Blackwell Legacy, Blackwell Unbound, the Blackwell Convergence, the Blackwell Deception, and the Blackwell Epiphany. And I give 2 thumbs up for that game. Then we come to a game I had been very excited about once I got it. It's called Jack Keane, and it's also made by Daedalic, like one of my favorite games, Deponia. So since it was from them, I was very excited to play that game, hoping that it would be like Deponia, but it wasn't. It's also a pure point-and-click adventure. It's kind of a little bit of comic style, but unfortunately not very funny in my opinion. At least it's not my kind of humor. You have a lot of riddles that just didn't make much sense in my opinion. Like, they were, those kind of riddles that you cannot come up with because there is no sense in them. It takes place in colonial England, especially on an island called Soothe Island. And yeah, you are Jack Keane. You are kind of a wannabe pirate, and you are stranded on that island, Soothe Island, and now you kind of just have to find a way to get off that island again. But during your adventure you find out that your childhood seems to be linked to that island. Like, when you were a little child, you used to live there with your parents who are dead now. And so you get into that whole story. I have to admit that I did not play it to the end. I almost played it to the end, but then I just kept being kind of boring to me. So at one point I just thought, if it's not gone better till now, it's not going to anymore. And I just gave up on it. I'm sorry. And I know that they even made Jack Keane Part 2, so I guess it must have been successful. Maybe it's just me who does not like it so much, so thumbs down for me, but many of you may have another opinion about it. And then we come to a game which I enjoyed a lot, but there is a counterpart to this, and the game is called Deadly Premonition, or also the Red Seeds File. So the game is very good, but it had so many bugs. I've never experienced a game with so many bugs. I had the PC version. I know that it's also available for the Xbox 360. I don't know if it's available for PlayStation, I don't know. But since I don't have an Xbox, I got it for PC. And also I got the director's cut version for the PC. So it is an open world survival horror, but not too scary. Like, you play an FBI agent called Francis York Morgan. He only wants to be called York, as he investigates the murder of an 18-year-old girl, which is similar to a series of murders across the US that he's been investigating. And York constantly talks to himself, but seems to be talking to someone he calls Zach. Fortunately, this will be explained in a satisfactory way at the end. Every time it rains in Greenville, which is the place the murder took place, the strange red plants appear, and buildings and objects start looking rotten and destroyed, and kind of, I want to call them zombies, start walking around, and they can be killed by weapons. So you have to shoot or slash or whatever in this games and kill, which is not my favorite thing to do, I have to say. But since in this game it was not very difficult, and it was not only this, I would even say it was the smaller part of the game where you had to actually do this zombie killing stuff, that it's okay to me. Yeah. So you killed zombies. But sometimes this whole thing with the red plants and the zombies walking around and buildings starting to look rotten and so on, to me sometimes lacked logic, because it looked like only York could see this happening. But if that was the case, that would not make sense with the whole story of the game, because sometimes there were zombies and the red plants going on, it was raining, and like, you had to go through the zombies, kill them, and so on to get into a building. And then once you got into the building, like, your fellow police agent came in as if nothing had happened. And that does not make that much sense with the whole story of the game. Like, everybody should have been able to see it. But then they would like see, oh, there are zombies walking around, but there was like no reaction from them. Weird. And also weird that everybody seems to be totally okay with the fact that York kept talking to one imaginary Zach. Like, everyone, oh, and who's that Zach guy? Like, totally normal that you're talking to people that aren't there. Yeah, right. Yes. But I have to say, like, really, $1,000,000 in this game. It took a ridiculously long time to load anything. You walked into a door, like you had loading time forever, and I'm really talking about 10 to 15 minutes of loading time every time you had to peek into a window and get out of that screen again. Waiting, excruciatingly long. And I am a super patient person. Like, if you asked me of my biggest qualities, it would be patience. I'm incredibly patient. And if I get annoyed by long waiting time, it means that it is really long. And then there was this weird bug that, like, you had to aim to kill, obviously, and if it were only the zombies on the floor that came towards you, that was okay, but then there came a point where there were a kind of a crawling shadow, it was called, I think, which jumped to the roof and to the walls and down, so you had to aim upwards and downwards. And once I encountered that crawling shadow, I realized that it was not possible to aim upwards nor downwards, only like to the sides. And to find a solution to that bug was difficult, and the solution was completely weird, because I had to switch to the Windows 98 mode, which made it actually possible to aim, but if possible, it made the loading time even longer. And also a negative part is that you never knew when it was the right time or when there was a side mission. Like, I felt really a lack of opportunity to do them. Because every time you had the mission, there was kind of a red beam that showed you where you had to go, and when you like got out of the car while you were not there yet, like you said, Zach, do you really want to leave now, or okay, do you want to investigate something here? Like, he gave you the feeling of not being at the right place right now, so that you really should go to where that red beam. And then I found that for many side missions, at some point it was too late, because there was a side mission with a girl, and that girl, where I was at the point of the game, had already been killed. So I never knew when to do a side mission. So at the end, I almost did none of them, and I would have liked to. So I actually thought of playing the game again, and this time doing all the side missions, because when I play games, I like to do like 100% of the game. But because of the long, excruciatingly long loading times, I decided not to. I have to say, though, that the game, when I could play it and was not waiting, was very entertaining. I loved the story, and especially the ending. It really had a good ending. Like, there were no questions open in the end, except those logic lags I've mentioned before. Like, there's an explanation to what's the deal with Zach in his head, of who killed who and why, what's with the red plants, what's with the zombies, why that happens always when it rains, and so on. Like, I couldn't think of a question that has not been answered. Though the ending also was a bit sad. But that's okay. At least there was an ending. But there's one more negative point. That, like, you have no navigating system. And this is always hard when it is a game in an open world, because it's a big place. I mean, you had a map and you drove But for example, you want to do a side mission and you will say, hey, that person lives there, let's just check out, maybe she has a side mission for us. And then I would have liked to have like that I could click on that place, and then maybe that little red or another color beam would show up to show me where I have to go, like really a GPS or something, because it was almost impossible to find things, places to go without it. Yeah, otherwise I really liked that game, but because of the many bugs there were, and really you had kind of no support to solve those problems. Like I really had to find out everything myself on the internet by other gamers who found that solutions, not even the makers of the game. So let's say like this: game, thumbs up, but playability, not that good. Okay, so these are all the games I want to talk about today. I have played more games than that actually, but I've been talking for such a long time now that I think I'm gonna keep them for the next time. For example, Black Mirror and Broken Sword. Life is Strange. All the Sherlock Holmes games. What else? Back to the Future, the game. Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm gonna talk about these games the next time. And please, if you have suggestions of games you think I have to play according to my gaming style, maybe you know I love point and click adventures and adventure games, mystery, especially mysterious games, and also horror games if there's not too much killing involved. Please give me suggestions. I would appreciate it, especially since one of the games I'm gonna talk about next time, which is Life is Strange, has been suggested to me by one of you, and I'm so thankful for it because I loved that game so much. So I hope you enjoyed this talk. I hope you found it relaxing and maybe informative. Maybe you just like to hear me talking to your face about random stuff. I don't know. One thing I want to mention though is that my channel is not a gaming channel, because I have got some comments about how can you have a gaming channel without knowing I don't know which game. This is not a gaming channel. This is an ASMR channel. So I just want to relax you, and because sometimes when I have difficulty relaxing, I listen to people talking about video games, but they usually talk in a very excited way about it, which is great, just not so good to unwind. I thought maybe I will do this, talk about video games in a very relaxing and calm way, because maybe there are people out there who like it just as much as I do. So I am not a gaming expert or anything like that. I play games because I love it, and comment them in the way that it comes to me, not having like super knowledge about them. And also I wanna just tell people I don't like games like World of Warcraft and Skyrim. Doesn't mean that other games don't count. People who enjoy those kind of games, like especially Skyrim and World of Warcraft, they always think that if you're not into those games, like, you're not a gamer. And I don't think that's true, because video games are video games. And only because I'm not that much into like teaming up in gaming, I like to play alone without teams, without anybody, doesn't mean that it doesn't count. So if you cannot stand a person that's not into those games, then this is probably not the right channel for you. Just to make that clear, okay? I am so grateful for all of you who watch my videos. I got more than 1,000 subscribers now, which I know in the YouTube world is like nothing, but to me, it's so much. I imagine like 1,400 people in front of me listening to me, and to me that's a hell of a lot of people. It's kind of frightening, actually. But I'm very honored of people like spending time just listening to me, and especially that I'm apparently able to calm some of those people down and relax them. Some of you. That makes me so happy, because I know how important that is. And I'm so grateful to the ASM artist I love, especially Ferry Shar. I'm so grateful to her. And if I can do only a little bit of what she does to me, then I'm more than happy and more than honored. And yeah, so just wanted to tell you that, guys. I really look forward to talking to you again soon.